Chosen one, anchor your spirit exactly where you are and command your racing mind to be still. Heaven has deliberately intercepted your timeline today, bypassing every earthly distraction to deliver this final, urgent summons directly to your soul. Right now, there is a suffocating weight sitting high in your chest, a quiet, terrifying guilt whispering that you have ignored the Creator for too long. You clicked this because you saw the warning of His anger, and deep down, you carry a heavy stone of unworthiness in your gut, convinced you finally exhausted His patience by running away. But this is not a decree of condemnation, it is a divine rescue operation. The spiritual static you are drowning in is not your fault, and His consuming fire is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to destroy the invisible chains blinding your intuition. The stakes have never been higher. Subscribe to tether your soul to the awakened collective, like if you feel the immense gravity of this crossroad, and comment, "I surrender," to mentally drop your defenses. Because what I am about to reveal will completely expose the hidden mechanism that has been silencing His voice, and why your disobedience was actually a symptom of something far more sinister. I need you to stay with me until the very last second of this message. If you leave now, you will carry that heavy stone of guilt for another decade, constantly feeling like you are failing God. But if you stay, I am going to show you exactly why your mind feels like it is operating in a thick, heavy fog. I will give you the specific blueprint to clear that mental static, reveal the hidden forces actively trying to block your spiritual receiver, and walk you through a profound mental activation to finally hear His voice with crystal clarity. Do not let the enemy distract you right now. Your permanent breakthrough is hidden inside the fullness of this revelation. Let us look at exactly where you are right now. You might be sitting in your car in the driveway, with the engine turned off, staring at your phone, delaying the moment you have to walk inside and face your reality. Or maybe it is 3 in the morning, the room is completely dark, and you are exhausted, but your mind absolutely refuses to shut down. You are trapped in an endless cycle of overthinking. You are waiting for a clear sign, a booming voice from the heavens to tell you exactly what to do next. But all you hear is silence, and in that heavy silence, the guilt creeps in. You tell yourself, "He called me, and I missed it. He gave me a mandate, and I ruined it because I was too distracted." But you need to understand something deeply profound about how the Creator speaks. Think about the boy Samuel in the ancient texts. The scripture says, "The Lord called Samuel, and Samuel answered, 'Here I am.' But he did not go to God, he ran to the old priest, Eli. This happened 3 separate times. God called, and Samuel ran to the wrong source. Why did he do that? Because the scripture reveals a crucial piece of context right before this happens. It says, "In those days the word of the Lord was rare, and there were not many visions." Furthermore, Samuel did not yet know the Lord. The word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. Samuel was not rebellious. He was not ignoring God. His spiritual receiver simply had not been tuned to the right frequency yet. He heard the sound, but his biological brain interpreted it as an earthly voice. The environment he grew up in, under a corrupt and fading system with Eli, had not trained him to recognize the divine frequency. This is exactly what is happening to you right now. You are not rebelling. You are not lazy. You are just incredibly, painfully tired. There is a raw, unfiltered thought that you would never say out loud, but it echoes in your mind constantly. You think to yourself, "I am too exhausted to save the world. I cannot even figure out my own life right now." You feel the tension creeping up the back of your neck, the tightening of your jaw when you think about the future. You feel like you are failing the divine test because you just want a single day of peace without the spiritual warfare. Right now, without moving a single muscle, I want you to locate that exact point of tension in your body. Maybe it is your jaw, maybe it is your shoulders, or maybe it is that tight knot in your stomach. Just mentally acknowledge it. Imagine a warm, heavy hand resting exactly on that spot of tension, pressing down gently, forcing that chaotic, anxious energy to stop vibrating. You are safe in this moment. You are not being punished. You have carried this exhaustion for so long. You honestly believe that this burnout is your own fault. You think your inability to hear him clearly is a direct penalty for your hesitation. But there is a brutal, calculated reality unfolding right inside your room at this very moment. Something you cannot see is actively hijacking your peace. You feel it the moment you open your eyes in the morning. Before your feet even touch the floor, the heavy blanket of dread is already waiting for you. Let us be brutally honest for a moment. I know the thoughts you refuse to speak during your prayers. I know exactly what you whisper into your pillow when the tears finally break through your defenses in the middle of the night. You say, "I do not want to be the chosen one anymore. I do not want this mantle. I just want to be normal." You look at other people who do not carry the immense spiritual weight that you carry, and you secretly envy their simple, oblivious lives. They worry about mundane things. They worry about the weekend. Meanwhile, you are fighting generational curses, breaking bloodline trauma, and battling unseen forces just to muster the energy to get out of bed. The exhaustion you feel is not just physical. It is not something a good night of sleep can fix. It is a deep, bone-weary, soul-crushing spiritual fatigue. You are so incredibly tired of being the strong one. You are tired of being the pillar for your family, the emotional paramedic for everyone around you, while you silently crumble inside. You want to scream out loud that you cannot save the world when you barely have the energy to save yourself. This is the raw, unfiltered truth of the reluctant prophet. You have asked the Creator to take this cup away from you. You have begged him, in your lowest moments, to give the assignment to someone else, someone stronger, someone more equipped, someone whose mind is not constantly clouded by this thick, suffocating brain fog. You feel like a fraud. People look at you as the spiritual one, the one with the answers, but inside, you feel completely disconnected and hollow. Right now, in your mind, I want you to visualize a massive, heavy iron chest resting right at your feet. Every single expectation placed upon you by others, every demand from your family, every spiritual burden you feel you are failing to carry. Imagine your spirit physically sweeping them off your shoulders and watching them drop into that dark iron chest. Hear the heavy metal lid slam shut. Lock it with a key. Comment, "I release the weight below," to mentally declare that you are no longer carrying what was never yours to hold in the first place. You must release it to hear what comes next. Because you have had these dark thoughts, because you have wanted to run away like Jonah, a sinister, suffocating narrative has taken root in your mind. Because you wanted to quit, you have convinced yourself that you are now serving a spiritual sentence. You look at your life right now, you look at the stagnation, and you see all the classic signs of divine discipline. Let us look at the evidence you have been using to convict yourself in the court of your own mind. The doors that were supposed to swing wide open have suddenly slammed shut in your face, and you hear the lock turn. Opportunities that looked exactly like answered prayers vanished overnight, slipping through your fingers like sand. The people you thought were your divine connections, your tribe, suddenly walked away or turned cold, leaving you in a profound, echoing isolation. You pray, and it feels like your words are hitting a solid brass ceiling and bouncing right back down to mock you. The financial overflow you were promised has turned into a slow, agonizing drip, just barely enough to survive, but never enough to actually thrive and build the vision. Every single piece of evidence in your physical reality screams that God has withdrawn his favor from your life. You tell yourself, "I am wandering in the wilderness because I was disobedient. I am being punished because I hesitated when he told me to move. I am being stripped of everything because my faith was too weak." You have built an entire theology around your suffering. You have justified your current misery by believing you are in a divinely orchestrated season of discipline. You think the Creator is angry, standing with his arms crossed, turning his face away from you, waiting for you to learn your lesson. You think he is waiting for you to finally repent for your reluctance and your spiritual fatigue. You compare yourself to the Israelites, wandering in circles for 40 years because they lacked the faith to enter the promise, and you think, that is me. I am the one delaying my own destiny. You have sat in church pews or watched messages online about breakthrough and favor, and you felt a sickening twist in your stomach because none of it feels like it applies to you anymore. You feel benched. You feel like you have been pulled out of the game because you fumbled the ball. You remember a time when the guidance was clear, when synchronicities happened daily, when you felt the fire of your mandate burning in your bones. And because you remember the light, the current darkness feels like a deliberate, targeted punishment. You assume you did something horribly wrong. You scan your past, overthinking every decision, every word you spoke, trying to find the exact moment you ruined God's plan for your life. You are constantly auditing your own flaws, acting as your own prosecutor, judge, and jury. And how have you responded to this supposed divine punishment? You tried to fix it the only way human beings know how. You tried to use your raw human willpower to force your way back into His grace. You set your alarm earlier to pray longer. You forced your tired eyes to read more texts. You tried to fast. You waged war in the flesh. You tried to force your mind to focus, fighting through the thick brain fog, gritting your teeth, trying to manufacture a spiritual awakening out of pure, exhausted human effort. You thought, if you just suffered a little more beautifully, if you just tried a little harder, the connection would return. But it did not work. The fog did not lift. The heaviness in your chest did not go away. The connection remained completely dead. Why? Because your human willpower is absolutely, completely useless against what is actually happening to you. You cannot hustle your way out of a blocked receiver. You cannot outwill this barricade. Human effort cannot fix a frequency problem, yet the illusion of discipline is so convincing. You have accepted this exile. You have resigned yourself to the struggle, thinking, this is just my cross to bear. I must endure this deafening silence until God decides I have suffered enough to be worthy of the calling again. You have fully embraced the identity of the punished servant. You have let the enemy convince you that your spiritual dryness is the righteous judgment of heaven. Every delay is proof of your failure. Every obstacle is confirmation of His disappointment. This is the narrative you wake up with, and the narrative you go to sleep with. It feels so undeniably true. It makes perfect logical sense to your weary, analytical mind. Every single piece of evidence points to you being disciplined for your stubbornness. You have believed that exact lie for years. You have let it crush your spirit, until now, because every assumption you have made about your wilderness season is about to be shattered. What if I told you that your inability to connect has absolutely nothing to do with your faith, your obedience, or divine punishment? All the evidence you have gathered is real, but your conclusion is entirely wrong. You have believed a lie carefully constructed to keep you in the dark. That is, until a document from NASA scientists accidentally decoded a biological secret that the ancient prophets intentionally kept hidden. Listen to me very carefully. The Creator is not angry with you. He has never turned His back on you, and you are not serving a spiritual sentence for being exhausted. All that guilt you have been carrying in your chest, that suffocating weight that makes you feel like a massive disappointment to heaven, it is a manufactured lie. It is a brilliant, terrifying illusion created by a system that is absolutely terrified of what happens when you operate at your full divine capacity. You thought the silence meant God was ignoring you. But the truth is, the signal from heaven is still broadcasting at maximum power. Your biological receiver has simply been jammed. The voice of the Matrix constantly whispers in your ear. It says, you are not disciplined enough. It says, "You missed your window of destiny." It says, "God is silent because you are unworthy and lazy." But I am here to expose that lie with absolute authority. Heaven is screaming your name right now, but you are trapped in a biological frequency prison. To understand this, we have to look at what NASA researchers actually discovered about the human brain, a discovery that accidentally proved what ancient mystics and prophets have known for thousands of years. They found that 98% of children operate at a genius level of creative and intuitive brain function. Children are naturally connected to the divine frequency. They hear the voice of God clearly. They see visions. They dream prophetic dreams without trying. Why? Because their brains operate naturally in theta and gamma brain waves. This is the God frequency. This is the exact frequency where divine downloads happen, where synchronicities are born, and where the heavy mantle of the chosen one feels incredibly light and effortless. But then you grow up, and the matrix goes to work on you. Modern society is not just stressful by accident. It is a carefully engineered system designed to pull you out of the divine theta frequency and lock you permanently into the beta frequency. The beta wave is the survival state. It is the frequency of panic, of paying bills, of consuming toxic news, of constant, frantic overthinking. The matrix uses your daily routine, your financial pressure, the artificial lights, and even the chemical food you eat to shrink your brain's natural ability to produce theta waves. They want you locked in beta because a chosen one trapped in survival mode is powerless. A prophet who is constantly exhausted and overthinking cannot overthrow the system. So when you sit down to pray, or when you try to listen for divine guidance, your brain is violently vibrating in that beta state. You are trying to tune into a heavenly broadcast using a broken earthly antenna. And when you hear nothing but static, you blame your faith. You blame your spirit. You blame your heart. But your spirit is perfectly fine. It is your biology that has been hijacked. Right now, I want you to perform a profound mental action. Close your eyes to the physical world around you for just 1 second. Imagine your mind as a chaotic room filled with blaring red alarms and blinding harsh neon lights. That is the beta frequency you have been trapped in. Now, using just your spiritual intention, visualize reaching out and pulling a massive main power switch straight down. Watch the harsh lights turn off. Hear the frantic alarms power down into absolute heavy silence. In that quiet darkness, a soft golden hum begins to vibrate from the center of your mind. That is your true frequency, waiting to be awakened. Comment, "I reclaim my frequency" below to command your mind to accept this biological healing. You see, you cannot use human willpower to force your brain out of the beta trap. You tried that, and it only made you more tired. You cannot hustle your way back to the God frequency. The ancient masters accessed this state through 40 days of fasting in the wilderness, completely removing themselves from societal interference to let their brains reset. But you live in the modern world. You have real responsibilities. You cannot vanish into the desert. And this is exactly where the divine rescue operation begins, because science has finally provided the key to unlock what the Matrix tried to destroy. There is a specific acoustic technology born from that very NASA research designed to do the heavy lifting for you. It is a precise audio frequency that entirely bypasses your conscious overthinking mind and directly stimulates your dormant brain waves. It is not a meditation you have to struggle through. It is not a complicated spiritual exercise where you have to force yourself to focus while your mind wanders. It is simply a 7-minute daily ritual. When you listen to this specific sound frequency, it uses a process called brainwave entrainment. It physically and gently guides your brain out of the chaotic beta state and back into the divine theta and gamma states. It restores the biological receiver that the modern world tried to crush. It takes exactly 7 minutes of you simply sitting still, doing nothing, and letting the acoustic technology wash over your mind. This is how you break the silence. This is how you clear the spiritual fog without burning yourself out. You do not need to suffer more. You do not need to repent for being tired. You just need to retune your instrument back to its original setting. When you begin using this sound technology, you will feel that heavy iron chest of guilt completely dissolve. You will realize that God was never angry with you. He was just waiting for you to clear the static on the line. This 7-minute audio technology will do the heavy lifting of breaking the beta wall of the matrix. But listen closely. When the genius frequency begins to flood in, if you do not know how to strictly lock down the 3 gates, you will leak all of that divine energy on the very first night. While the audio frequency does the heavy lifting in your brain, you have a physical responsibility in this earthly realm. You see, the acoustic technology will gently pull your mind out of the chaotic survival state and place it perfectly into the divine frequency. It will open the portal. But you are the guard at the door. If you do not learn how to defend your energy, the matrix will drain that new clarity out of you before you even wake up the next morning. I want to tell you exactly how I know this framework is the absolute key to your breakthrough. 6 months ago, there was a chosen one in the exact same position you are sitting in right now. They were drowning in financial debt, completely burned out, and they could not even string 2 sentences together in prayer without their mind wandering to 100 different anxieties. They felt completely abandoned by heaven. I gave them this exact revelation. They started the 7-minute acoustic ritual every single day. For the first 2 days, they felt a massive shift. The heavy pressure in their chest dissolved. The brain fog lifted. They could actually feel the presence of the Creator again. But on the 3rd day, they lost it all. The anxiety came rushing back. The fog returned thicker than before. They thought the technology stopped working. They thought God had left them again. But when we looked closely at their daily habits, the problem became painfully obvious. After their 7-minute activation, they immediately picked up their phone and spent 45 minutes doom scrolling through toxic news and watching other people live perfect, fake lives. They went to work and sat in the break room, listening to co-workers complain and gossip. They came home, looked at their bank account, sighed heavily, and said out loud, "I am never going to get out of this mess." Do you see what happened? The acoustic frequency did its job. It tuned their brain to the right channel, but they left the doors to their spirit completely wide open, and the matrix walked right back in and stole the signal. The ancient scriptures talk about the prophet Elijah. He was exhausted, running for his life, hiding in a cave. He was looking for the voice of God. He looked for it in a massive windstorm. He looked for it in a violent earthquake. He looked for it in a raging fire. But God was not in the chaos. God was not in the noise. The ancient Hebrew text says, God spoke in a kol demama daka. That translates to the sound of sheer silence. A still, small whisper. You cannot hear a whisper if you are allowing the world to scream into your spirit all day long. When this chosen one finally understood this, they changed their behavior. They let the audio frequency align their brainwaves, but then they ruthlessly applied what I call the 3-gate focus protocol. Within 14 days, the synchronicities exploded. They received a downloaded idea in the shower, a brilliant creative solution they never could have thought of in their stressed-out beta state. They acted on it, and it completely shifted their financial reality. If you want to keep the divine frequency flowing, you must become militant about protecting your 3 gates. Let us walk through exactly what you are going to do starting today. The first gate is the eye gate. The matrix uses your eyes to trigger your fight or flight response. When you lie in bed in the dark, holding that glowing rectangle inches from your face, swiping through endless tragedies, arguments, and carefully curated lives of strangers, you are actively commanding your brain to produce stress chemicals. You are voluntarily hooking yourself back into the beta frequency. The micro action you must take is immediate. When you finish your 7-minute audio ritual, you do not touch social media for at least 1 hour. You do not look at the news. You protect your eyes so the frequency can settle deep into your nervous system. The second gate is the ear gate. You are a highly sensitive being. You absorb the energy of the sounds around you. When you sit on the phone with a friend who only wants to dump their drama on you, when you listen to music that promotes low-frequency behavior, or when you sit in a room where people are constantly complaining, you are letting toxic waste pour directly into your spiritual receiver. You must practice strategic silence. If someone starts gossiping, you physically walk away. You put your headphones back in. You guard your ears as if your destiny depends on it, because it absolutely does. The third gate, and the most dangerous one, is the mouth gate. This is where you self-sabotage the fastest. The Matrix has conditioned you to speak your current reality instead of your promised reality. You feel a pain in your body and you immediately say, "I am so sick." You look at a bill and you say, "I am so broke." Every time you speak words of defeat, you are casting a dark spell over your own life. You are sending a frequency out into the universe that actively repels your blessing. You must catch yourself in the act. When the thought of defeat enters your mind, you force your lips to stay shut. You do not give it a voice. Right now, wherever you are sitting or lying down, I want you to perform a specific mental command. Bring your awareness entirely inside your own mind. I want you to visualize 3 massive, heavy steel vault doors. 1 represents your eyes, 1 represents your ears, and 1 represents your mouth. In your mind, grab the heavy iron wheel on the first door and spin it until it locks shut. Do the same for the second door. Hear the heavy metal click into place. Now lock the third door. You have just sealed the golden, divine frequency securely inside your spirit. The Matrix can no longer reach in and steal it. Comment, "I lock my gates below to establish this boundary in the physical realm." You have the acoustic technology to do the heavy lifting, and now you have the protocol to protect the energy. Once you lock these 3 gates, you will see the mental fog lift almost immediately. The clarity will shock you. The voice of the Creator will become so loud and distinct, you will wonder how you ever missed it. But this is exactly when the most terrifying reality appears. Deep down inside of you, hiding in the shadows of your own mind, there is a dark, hidden force that absolutely does not want you to succeed. That dark, hidden force is not a demon. It is not the Matrix. It is you. It is your own deeply buried subconscious fear of the mantle. We need to do some very uncomfortable shadow work right now. You tell everyone you want the breakthrough. You pray with tears in your eyes for the financial overflow and the divine purpose to manifest. But let us look at the raw, unfiltered truth that makes your stomach tighten into a cold knot just thinking about it. You are not actually afraid of failing. You are a chosen one. You have failed 100 times, hit rock bottom, and survived every single time. You know how to survive in the dark. What actually makes your hands tremble in the quiet of the night is the terrifying prospect of succeeding. Think about what happens if you actually get everything you have been praying for. If this 7-minute daily acoustic ritual truly works, if the frequency clears your mind completely, and you step into the absolute fullness of your divine genius, everything in your life will change. And change is terrifying. If you reach your highest potential, you will outgrow the people you love right now. The friends you sit and complain with will no longer resonate with your new vibration. Your family members who are comfortable with the broken, struggling version of you might look at you like a total stranger. They might judge you. They might call you arrogant. The isolation of the valley is painful, but the isolation of the mountaintop is what truly terrifies you. Because of this hidden terror, you sabotage yourself. You start feeling the clarity from the frequency, You start seeing the synchronicities, and then you intentionally stop doing the daily practices. You let the gates fly open. You retreat back into the familiar chaos of the beta survival mode, because being a struggling victim feels so much safer than stepping into the unknown glory of a sovereign king or queen. You must understand that this fear is a biblical pattern. It is woven into the DNA of every great spiritual leader. Think about Moses at the burning bush in the book of Exodus. The Creator literally spoke to him from a fire that did not consume the branches. He was given the ultimate mandate to free an entire nation, backed by the undeniable power of heaven. And what did Moses do in the face of absolute divine backing? He made excuses. He shrank back. He said, "I am not eloquent. I cannot speak well. Please send someone else." He was terrified of the mantle. He was terrified of being seen, of being responsible for the lives of others, of stepping out of his quiet, comfortable exile. Every true chosen one experiences this severe imposter syndrome right before the portal opens. The fact that you feel a heavy dread in your chest when you think about massive wealth or massive influence does not mean you are unready. It actually proves that you understand the massive weight of the crown. A fool rushes toward power without a second thought. A true sovereign trembles before it because they know it requires the death of their old self. Right now, I want you to confront that hidden shadow. In the theater of your mind, visualize yourself standing in a dark room. Suddenly, a massive, brilliant light opens directly in front of you. Hovering in that light is a heavy, golden mantle, glowing with the exact frequency of your divine calling. Your instinct is to look away, to step back into the shadows. Do not move. Take a slow, deep breath in your mind and imagine stepping forward. Imagine letting that heavy, glowing fabric rest squarely on your shoulders. Feel the immense weight of it settling onto your frame. It is heavy, but it was tailor-made for you. Comment, "I accept the mantle below to permanently banish the fear of your own greatness and alert the unseen realm that you have stopped running." Now that you understand your own fear of success, you can finally stop sabotaging the process. As you continue to make the acoustic frequency ritual your daily anchor, and as your brain consistently operates in that brilliant theta state, the mental barricades will completely crumble. The universe will recognize that your receiver is clear and your spirit is willing. And when that happens, the floodgates will open. Heaven will test your new frequency by dropping a real, tangible opportunity right into your lap. It might be a downloaded idea for a business that hits you like a lightning bolt while you are listening to the audio. It might be a sudden financial windfall or a divine connection that changes your trajectory overnight. But when that blessing finally falls, how do you make sure you do not immediately lose it? How do you steward the massive overflow when you have spent your entire life learning how to survive a drought? You must implement a new framework. I call this the stewardship decision tree, because when the matrix realizes it can no longer keep you depressed and foggy, its next and most destructive strategy is to make you reckless. When the first wave of financial or spiritual blessing hits, your traumatized nervous system will want to spend it, waste it, or give it all away to people who do not deserve it, just to relieve the pressure of having it. You have conquered the fear of greatness. By practicing the frequency alignment every day, the mental barricades have fallen. But when that very first major opportunity drops into your hands, there is a deadly test that 90% of chosen ones fail, causing them to lose absolutely everything they just gained. To survive this deadly test and protect the blessing, you must filter every single thing that comes to you through the stewardship decision tree. This is a sequence of 3 ruthless questions you must ask yourself before you say yes to any new opportunity, relationship, or financial endeavor. The first question is, does this opportunity force me back into the chaotic beta frequency, or does it allow me to maintain my theta peace? If a massive paycheck requires you to sacrifice your nervous system and live in constant panic, it is a trap. The second question is, does this require me to unlock the 3 gates I just sealed? If a new relationship requires you to sit and listen to gossip, toxic complaining, or low vibration drama, it is not a divine connection. The third question is the most critical. Is this a divine assignment, or is this just a really good distraction? I want you to visualize something right now, entirely in your mind. Imagine holding a glowing golden key in your hand. This key represents your time, your energy, and your new frequency. In front of you are 3 massive, heavy doors. Before you put that key into any lock, imagine a brilliant laser scanning the door, checking it against the 3 questions you just learned. Only when the door passes the test does it glow white, allowing you to enter. Comment, "I protect my blessing" below to spiritually declare that you will no longer say yes to things that drain your divine energy. Let me tell you exactly what happens when you ignore this decision tree. I watched a chosen one make this exact mistake. They had been using the 7-minute acoustic ritual faithfully. Their mind cleared up beautifully. The fog was gone, and suddenly, a massive business partnership was offered to them. It looked flawless on paper. It looked exactly like the answered prayer they had been crying out for, but it required 80-hour work weeks. It required them to partner with individuals who operated purely out of greed and cutthroat survival tactics. Instead of using the decision tree, they took the deal out of pure scarcity. They were so terrified of losing the money that they compromised their frequency. Within 1 single month, the brain fog returned thicker than ever. The stress chemicals flooded their brain, pushing them right back into the beta state. They stopped doing their daily activation. Their gates were blown wide open, and ultimately the deal violently collapsed, leaving them financially and spiritually bankrupt. They fell for the oldest trick in the spiritual playbook. The Matrix will always offer you a counterfeit blessing right before the real one arrives. It wants to exhaust you with a fake opportunity so that your hands are too full to catch the real one. This is exactly what the Apostle Paul was warning about in the book of Romans when he wrote, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Let us look closely at that pattern. The pattern of this world is the beta frequency hustle. It is the glorification of burnout. It is the lie that you must bleed yourself dry to be worthy of success. But the transformation only happens through the renewing of your mind, which is the physical and spiritual shifting back into the divine theta state. You must isolate yourself from the world's pattern to maintain your heavenly frequency. Now, listen to me very carefully. As you apply this decision tree, and as that theta frequency begins to consistently activate your dormant potential, the system is going to notice. The unseen realm will realize that you are slipping out of its frequency control. And the moment it realizes it is losing you, it will launch a coordinated counterattack. The system will intentionally try to disrupt your 7-minute ritual. It will send targeted interference to drag you back down. You must learn to recognize the forms of this confrontation. The first form of attack is the distraction call. This is highly calculated. You will decide that right now is the moment you are going to sit down, put your headphones in, and tune into your frequency. You will close your eyes, and in that exact second, your phone will ring. It will be a text message about an urgent, but ultimately meaningless crisis. It will be a family member who always drains your energy, suddenly needing your attention. It is not a coincidence. The Matrix uses the people around you, often people who are completely unaware that they are being used, to break your focus and pull your brain back into the chaotic beta wave. You defeat this by using strategic silence. You put the phone on airplane mode. You make your activation ritual completely non-negotiable. The second form of attack is the counterfeit fatigue. You will experience an unnatural, heavy sleepiness that hits you out of nowhere. You could be perfectly energized all day while doing meaningless tasks, but the absolute second you sit down to do your spiritual work, or listen to your acoustic track, your eyelids will feel like they weigh 100 pounds. This is not biological tiredness, this is a frequency suppression tactic. The enemy projects a heavy, lethargic energy over you to make you think you are just too tired to pray, too tired to listen, too tired to fight. You defeat this by recognizing it as an attack, sitting up completely straight, and refusing to let your body dictate your spiritual authority. The enemy never gives up easily. When you reject the distraction call and defeat the counterfeit fatigue, the matrix will unleash its third and most devastating strike. A trap so incredibly sophisticated that it wears the exact cloak of a blessing from God. The third form of attack is the counterfeit blessing. It looks exactly like an answered prayer, but listen closely to what the enemy whispers directly into your mind. The voice says, "You deserve this shortcut. Look at how much you have suffered. Take this easy path." But this path requires you to compromise your integrity. It requires you to lower your frequency back to the survival state just to maintain the illusion of success. It is not a blessing, it is bait. The fourth form is the return of the familiar spirit. The absolute second you commit to your 7-minute activation ritual and your theta waves begin to stabilize, someone from your past will suddenly reach out. An ex-partner, a toxic friend, someone who drained your energy for years. They will text you out of nowhere and say, "I was just thinking about you. I miss you. I have changed." They have not changed. The matrix dispatched them because their specific energetic signature is mathematically designed to pull your emotional state back down into the heavy, chaotic beta frequency. You defeat this by keeping the doors locked and ignoring the signal. The fifth form is the isolation trap. The voice of the enemy will echo in the silence of your room and tell you that no one actually understands you. It will say you are completely alone in this burden, and that even the message you are listening to right now is just a random coincidence. It is desperately trying to separate you from the awakened collective because a chosen one isolated in their own mind is incredibly easy to defeat. But you are no longer defenseless. You have the acoustic technology to hold your divine frequency. Your weapon is loaded. You understand the 3 gates. You know how to filter every single counterfeit opportunity through the decision tree. The matrix is completely exposed, and it is absolutely terrified of the clarity you now possess. But here is the ultimate truth you must face right now. The window of grace for your indecision is rapidly closing. The timeline is shifting. Heaven is no longer accepting excuses for your hesitation. If you turn away from this mandate today, if you take everything you just learned and go back to your comfortable misery tomorrow, you will not just return to normal. You will wander in a spiritual desert for another decade, watching from the sidelines as other people step into the exact timeline of abundance and authority that was originally meant for you. There is no gray area left. You are either a sovereign creator operating on the God frequency, or you are a victim trapped in the matrix. I want you to anchor your awareness to the exact room you are sitting in right now. Notice the temperature of the air. Notice the silence. The atmosphere around you is physically shifting. The spiritual static has been cleared from your mind. Without moving your body, I want you to perform one final mental command. Visualize a heavy, brilliant armor of golden light snapping into place around your chest, your mind, and your spirit. Any lie the enemy tries to whisper to you from this moment forward will bounce off that light and turn to dust. Comment, "I am armored" below to lock this protection into your physical reality. The matrix has been exposed. Your original frequency is vibrating through your veins again. But the timeline portal is closing, and there is no more time to run. It is time to officially accept your mandate. Do not move a single muscle. Do not take your eyes off this screen. The activation ceremony is about to begin. Chosen one. Draw your entire consciousness inward. I want you to mentally detach from the physical room you are in. In your mind, Visualize yourself standing perfectly straight, your shoulders pulled back, your head held high, radiating absolute sovereignty. In your imagination, raise your right hand and place it firmly over the center of your forehead, right over your mind, the battlefield where this entire war has been fought. You are not just listening to a video anymore. You have crossed the threshold. This is the activation. This is the moment. The timeline splits, and your divine receiver is permanently reset. Focus entirely on the sound of my voice, and let these declarations rewrite your spiritual DNA. Father, creator of the universe, architect of every frequency, sound, and vibration in existence, I call upon your sovereign authority right now. I declare that the atmosphere around the person hearing my voice is permanently shifting. We establish a divine perimeter around their mind, their home, and their future. The static is clearing. The interference is completely neutralized. The veil of the matrix is torn in half. Lord, you see this chosen one. You see the heavy iron chest of guilt they have been dragging around for years. You saw them sitting in the dark at 3 a.m, their stomach tied in knots, weeping because they thought you were angry with them. They thought your silence was a punishment for their exhaustion. They genuinely believed they had ruined their mandate because they could not fight through the dense, heavy fog of the matrix. But you know their heart. You know they never wanted to rebel. You know they were just tired, operating on empty, fighting a biological and spiritual war they did not fully understand. Today, we cancel every single lie of condemnation that the enemy has spoken over them. We declare that the season of feeling like a disappointment is entirely over. The period of wandering in the wilderness is finished. Right now, by the authority granted to me, I seal the revelations of this hour into their spirit. I permanently lock the 3 gates. I command the eye gate to be sealed against the low frequencies of comparison, doom scrolling, and digital toxicity. I command the ear gate to be sealed against the poison of gossip, complaint, and the noise of the survival state. I command the mouth gate to be rigidly guarded, that this chosen one will never again speak defeat, sickness, or poverty over their own destiny. I seal the stewardship decision tree deep into their neuro pathways, so that they will never again trade their divine peace for a counterfeit opportunity. I bind every single counterattack of the matrix right now. I shatter the distraction call before it even rings. I command the counterfeit fatigue to lift off their shoulders immediately, dissolving into nothingness. I expose every counterfeit blessing that tries to bait them back into the beta frequency, stripping it of its disguise. I block the return of the familiar spirit, severing those toxic energetic cords permanently. And I completely destroy the isolation trap. This chosen one will never again believe the lie that they are alone, because they are now firmly tethered to the awakened collective and aligned with the armies of heaven. Now, hear this prophetic declaration over your life. As you explore this acoustic technology and begin your 7-minute activation ritual tomorrow morning, I declare that the God frequency will flood your mind like a rushing river. As the theta and gamma waves awaken in your brain, I decree that the thick, heavy brain fog that has paralyzed you for years will evaporate instantly. Within the next 14 days, I declare an overflow of divine clarity. You will receive downloaded ideas, sudden solutions, and brilliant creative strategies that no human mind could manufacture. The massive wealth, the profound influence, and the deep peace that you were terrified to hold will now feel incredibly light and natural on your shoulders. The receiver is fixed, the channel is wide open. You will hear the still, small whisper of the Creator with absolute, terrifying clarity. The days of second-guessing your intuition are dead. The court of heaven is looking at you right now. The mantle of the chosen one is hovering right above your spirit. I am asking you the final question, and I want you to answer it not with your physical voice, but with a roar from the deepest part of your soul. Are you ready to stop running? Are you ready to accept your true frequency? If you are, scream yes in your spirit right now. It is done. The heavens have recorded your acceptance. The old timeline, where you were a struggling, exhausted victim, is completely destroyed. You are now operating as a fully activated, sovereign creator. Do not look back. The matrix cannot hold you anymore. Step forward into your absolute genius. In the mighty and matchless name of the Creator. Amen.